coming up on Film Nerd by Night.
As a father of 5, I have seen firsthand the dangers that electronics pose to the young developing minds. It looked like, based on the trailers for Toy Story 5, that Disney and Pixar were just going to be tackling this head on. I said I could easily see the filmmakers whiffing on this issue. Sure enough, it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. That's very disappointing.
And now, the show.
Oh no, it's his underwear.
All right, folks, I'm Cole Powell, musician by day, film nerd by night. Before we get into it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, click the bell for notification, follow, whatever platform you're on, do all the things that are promotional and benefit the channel if you like what you hear. Also consider supporting us on Patreon for early access to episodes like these and full-length movie reactions. Toy Story 5. I did, I think, 2 reactions. The reaction to the teaser trailer and the reaction to the first full trailer, and then I've watched the 1 or 2 other trailers that have been released since then. And I got to tell you, the trailer sold me on this movie, and I said that in the reaction. I loved the original Toy Story trilogy. The first movie came out when I was a kid. This was 1995. I didn't get to see it until a year later when it was released on VHS, which was how long the release windows were between theater and home video at the time. And I got a copy for my birthday, and it was just, I was just blown away. I put it on repeat and just watched it over and over and over again. I knew every line from the movie. Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3, great follow-ups. I felt like Toy Story 3 was the perfect closer to the trilogy. Afterward, they made some short films. Toy Story of Terror was one, which I thought was great, and it didn't undercut the end of the official theatrical trilogy. They did another one that was something with dinosaurs. I don't think I ever watched that one. They made some shorts that were also really good, and they were just kind of addenda to the original trilogy, and they were really well made. When they announced a 4th movie, Toy Story 4, I thought this sounds like a cash grab. It's probably going to be terrible, and I was right. Toy Story 4, I thought, was pretty bad. It may have worked as a 20-minute special like the Toy Story of Terror did, but as a full theatrical film, it did not justify its existence, and it undercut the ending of the original trilogy with Toy Story 3, which I thought was the perfect ending. So when they announced 5, I thought, well, this is why they're doubling down on this. The previous one was a disaster narratively. This just seemed like another, let's try this again and try to make even more cash. But these trailers, they really sold me, and they sold me because it seemed to be a commentary on the dangers of tech addiction and the war between physical toys and playing outdoors or being inside on electronics all day for children. And as a father of 5, that really resonated with me because I have seen firsthand the dangers that electronics pose to the young developing minds. And a few years ago, somebody gave some of our younger children little kitty tablets like the one that's being featured in Toy Story 5 as the villain. And we put limits on it. It's 30 minutes a day. But even with that, when the 30 minutes was over, our kids would start getting angry and irritated that they had to put this down, and because that was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. So they no longer use the tablets, and there are very strict rules. No TV in the mornings, only in the afternoons, evenings. You play outside when the weather is good as much as possible. Screen limits, all these things, and there's all kinds of studies coming out showing what kind of deleterious effects these screens have, particularly on young children and adults too. And I've tried to minimize my screen time as well, because I've noticed that even me as an adult, fully formed brain, that I've gotten addicted to checking my email, that I've gotten addicted to checking news headlines, that I've gotten addicted to, oh, I'm working on this all the time, I need to go, let me work this, and there's this dopamine hit that you get when you finish some kind of digital task. And it's just, it's a really big problem. And it looked like, based on the trailers for Toy Story 5, that Disney and Pixar were just going to be tackling this head on, and that this kitty tablet called LilyPad was going to be the villain, and it was the toys against tech. And it looked like they were getting into the dangers of screen addiction and how kids need to play with physical toys and get outside more and touch grass, as they say. But then, in that reaction to the first full trailer I did, I said that as good as this looked and as much on board as I was with what I'd seen so far, I could easily see the filmmakers whiffing on this issue and kind of coming to ending the movie on a note of, well, actually, the tech is fine and it's not going anywhere, so we can't do anything about it, so we just need to embrace it. Yeah, maybe we can do some things kind of mitigate any kind of negative impact on it, but overall, it's fine for kids to be half the time playing with physical toys and outside, half the time on their tablets playing video games or whatever. And sure enough, it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do based on the comments from the film's directors, Andrew Stanton, and the co-director, McKenna Harris, who I do not know. I don't know if McKenna Harris has done any new Pixar, but Andrew Stanton is old school, great director, did some of the really great Pixar films from back in the day. But they were talking, I'm reading this from Variety, they were asked about this piece of technology, this kitty iPad, this LilyPad, it's called in the movie, being the villain of the piece. And here's what Stanton said. She is to the toys, she is the villain to the toys because they're understandably intimidated. She's just the next phase in Bonnie's life. She's built like a toy in the sense that she wants to help the kid go forward, but she's got very different skills and zero experience, whereas Jessie has nothing but experience and is probably unprepared for what to do. So that automatically sounds like, well, this is actually a good thing. This piece of technology is a good thing, not really a villain, maybe just misunderstood from the toy's perspective. And Kenna Harris went on further, said that there were discussions within the studio about whether or not LilyPad should be a villain. Lots of people at the studio wanted her to be a villain, which I totally get. And it was so hard to strike the balance because I think we all come in with such loaded emotions towards devices. At the end of the day, it never made sense. Harris emphasized that the filmmakers wanted those feelings to be anchored in reality. We're not getting rid of these devices no matter how hard we try. I'm always going to have my phone. I'm probably going to be partially addicted to it. So it felt right for the toys to have to grapple with that nuance. So that's very disappointing to me. And there's, just picking apart what McKenna Harris said here, lots of people in the studio want her to be a villain, which that's promising. That's good because obviously there were a lot of people involved in this like, no, this is bad. And they're correct. But McKenna Harris says that it never made sense because the devices are always going to be with us. We're always going to have them. So she admitted that she's always going to have her phone, that she's probably always partially going to be addicted to it. That's not good. If you recognize that, you need to try to fix that, to try to get away from that addiction. Addiction is not a good thing. That means an addiction means you're a slave to something. On top of that, we're talking about kids here. We're not talking about adults. It would be one thing if we're talking about adults. But again, I mentioned earlier, there's all kinds of studies coming out on how bad screens and devices and games and apps are for the kid brain. And instead of making a movie that they had an opportunity to make here, to come out swinging against this issue and try to, sure, you can say, well, it's a lost cause. We're never going to, the kids are always going to have these, which may not be the case. That may not be the case. But even if you believe that, you could at least try to put a movie out that maybe gets parents and kids thinking about the dangers of the electronic devices in lieu of playing with physical toys, going outside, playing with sticks. I mean, that's what I had when I went outside. If I was inside, I had action figures. If I was outside, I had sticks and pine cones and was, active and playing as much as I could. But instead of going that direction, it looks like, which is what I feared whenever I reacted to that trailer, they're going to try to split the difference and say, well, the toys think she's a villain because they really don't understand. And yeah, there's some dangers here, but ultimately it's going to be an integration of the tech and the toy, and everything's going to be fine. Based on these comments, that's what I'm getting. And if that's the case, this is one parent that's really disappointed. I'm still probably going to go see the movie because I am interested in it. I'm also doing this podcast about movies, about new movies, try to see as many as I can so I can review them. But I probably won't be taking at least the number of kids that I originally planned to, because I don't want them to be getting a message from a movie that these electronics are okay and it's fine, when we have personally had problems with that in our house and had to take steps to try to mitigate some of that damage, some of that addictive tendencies, behavioral problems that seem to be coming from that. I might take my oldest daughter, who's a teenager, who understands how all this works, but the smaller kids, don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So we'll see. As far as box office, this thing is looking for a massive haul. $150 million U.S. opening prediction right now, which is huge for any movie. If it hits that, it's going to be huge and maybe the highest grossing film of the year. So this is basically, at this point, box office proof. It's gonna make bank, even if parents like me aren't happy with the message of the movie, of what the message apparently is going to be. If you enjoyed that clip, be sure to follow the Film Nerd by Night podcast wherever you're getting this episode. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon for full-length movie reactions and early access to episodes like this. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.
Film Nerd by Night, created and hosted by Cole Powell. Theme, Beautiful Now, written and performed by Cole Powell, a Randomine Records production. Section 107 of U.S. copyright law allows for the fair use of copyrighted material for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, parody, or research.